In the Northeast Ohio will be losing some serious clout and experience when the new Congress convenes after the first of the year. Congressman Dennis Kucinich lost his bid for re-election in a battle with Toledo's Marcy Kaptur. His 16 years of experience going, almost gone. Republican Representative Steve LaTourette had enough of partisan gridlock, quitting on his own, taking 18 years of know-how and some key committee assignments with him. And Congresswoman Betty Sutton redistricted into a losing battle with Jim Renacci. Her 6 years of savviness vanishing too. That's about 40 years of clout out the door for the region. All right, so Congresswoman Fudge, all of a sudden that makes you maybe the senior-most member of Northeast Ohio's delegation?
Absolutely.
So how do you fill this void?
I don't know that you really can fill the void, but what I'm excited about is the fact that Marcy Kaptur, I believe, is going to be the new ranking member on appropriations, which will be most helpful to the district. I'm looking forward to working with my Republican colleagues, quite frankly. We have a very close, I'd say a very respectful relationship with the Ohio delegation. I'm looking forward to working with Mr. Joyce and Mr. Renacci, who have already started to talk with me about what we can do to support Northeast Ohio. Tim Ryan's still around, you know, even though he's not really with us in Northeast Ohio, but Tim's got a great wealth of experience. He's also on appropriations. And I've already started to talk to them, but it's really hard to replace a Steve LaTourette, especially with the Republicans being in the majority and his relationship with John Boehner. It's going to be real tough for me to replace my partners on either side of me, Betty and Dennis. But I think that we're going to do well. As I move into leadership and can support the things that Marcy's doing, I think it's going to be helpful for the region.
Have you had conversations with Marcy about the issue of making sure Cleveland gets its just representation here? I mean, let's be realistic. You're in Toledo. You can't spend half your time in Cleveland. I mean, just a logistical challenge. Oh,
we've had discussions.
Yeah.
And she is very clear on some of the needs of Cleveland. She spent a lot of time here as she was running, and so I think that she clearly understands some of the things that we're working towards. We're already talking about ideas and how we get resources to the area.
Okay, Blake.
Congresswoman, first of all, congratulations. The whole region is proud of you. You know, you've shown tremendous leadership. You are now the face of urban America, Black America, on the level of Congress.
Right.
And we have a lot of socioeconomic disadvantages in our urban communities. Proliferation of guns, high homicides, other type of health disparities. How would you use your position in order to address some of those socioeconomic needs?
Well, the great thing about this position is that I do represent 43 members of the Congressional Black Caucus. And as you look at what is going on across this country, poverty is a huge issue in communities we serve. We tend to serve more poorer communities, more minority communities, obviously. I mean, not that all of us serve minorities particularly, but we have a better idea and a better handle on what is going on in this country by way of education, health care, Head Start. So one of the things that we're going to have to start out doing, quite frankly, Blaine, is fighting some of the very cuts that are going to be coming in the fiscal cliff.
You rarely heard the word poverty during the campaign.
Absolutely.
At all. I mean, it just kind of fell off the table as an issue. How do you reintroduce it?
We have to reintroduce it. I mean, you just take something as simple as the storm we had in the East. Do you know that there are more than 40,000 homeless people in New York City alone? So now you have this storm. What do you do with them? There's no place for these people to go, and that is happening all across this country. Poverty wasn't a big political seller, so I think you didn't hear it a lot. And that's just the reality of it. People didn't think that talking about the poor was going to get you votes, so everyone talked about the middle class. But when you think about the fact that 46 million plus people are on food stamps in this country, if you start to talk about cutting educational funding, cutting food stamps, they're really talking about cutting $16 billion from food stamps. So poverty is going to have to come to the top of the agenda. And that's one of the jobs that I will be taking on, is to make sure that it gets on the top of the agenda.
Kevin.
Well, in view of that, does it make sense to change how identity politics works in a way? I mean, if we have a Congressional Black Caucus, would it be more efficient if it was a Congressional Poverty Caucus? And you had the, you know, an amalgamation of the representatives who represent poor areas working toward common goals that make sense across the board.
We actually do have a poverty caucus, of which I am a member. And what we deal with is the very issues that I discussed, but more importantly, we talk about things like the extension of unemployment. We talk about the payroll tax. We really talk about things like how do we get young people prepared to do well in school, even if they're from poor families. So we want to fight every way we can the cutting of what will be 200,000 children out of Head Start. We want to make sure that we put resources in to schools for nutrition, because poor children get about 90% of their nutrition from schools. So those are the battles that we have to fight.